This is another book that I just got for like $4. It's true, it's an old book because it's from 1999. The games inside are from 1972 or 71 to 1999, and they are miniatures. Miniatures are games that are just 25 moves long. Now, the author, however, gave us miniatures only between players rated 2500 or higher. So these are all grandmasters playing against grandmasters. And while there is an entertaining value in watching a 25 move games, the instructive value is very important, because if that can happen to someone that is 2500, imagine to someone like me around 2000 or someone that is 1500, right? So clearly these are games that one should watch at all costs just for the instructive value. Then, of course, you also need to learn the end games and other part of the games, but for today let's just enjoy. The game I wanted to show you is Tal versus Olafsson, and it was played in Las Palmas in 1975. It begins with e4, d6, d4, g6, this is what is called the modern defense, bishop c4. This is a typical of Tal. Tal has this kind of fetish, we could say, that is continuously attacking f7 no matter what, and sometimes is not the right thing to do. Knight f6, and you will see why. Because Tal, one of the greatest attacker, however a world champion, that is a fact, but you like it or not, he was one of the best in the world, strangely neglect the center and gets the problem and is not able to really solve it well. So here the author, after this move, says, because of the curious move order, we have already reached an uncommon position. In a million game database, I could only find 36 occurrences. The majority of these soon transpose into normal lines. For example, for knight c3. So this is very funny, because it tells us that in 1999 the author had a 1 million game database. Today we have with ChessBase at least 10-11 million games, and with Lichess, I don't know, there is some special tool, because no database like ChessBase can really handle it. I think we have more than 1 billion games, so it's crazy. Now Tal makes a move that is very strange, this queen e2. Why it's very strange? Because this is now unprotected. The pawn that is generally protected the most is unprotected compared to me. And so it shows that this is an inaccuracy, but strangely the author doesn't tell us why it should have continued. So, which means it should have continued with this probably, but if you continue with this, you could play this, this, and this, right? So, as you can see, probably this bishop c4 wasn't really a good move. In any case, black immediately sees the chance to attack, because that's what you need to do when you are in the opening. You need to develop your pieces, and if possible, well, when you develop, you attack an enemy piece, because when you attack, you give him a problem that he must solve, right? So Tal tries to solve the problem with knight f3, developing one piece, but it doesn't work, because there is bishop g4, right? And now, again, it shows the inadequacy of this move, because you still need to defend it, right? So he plays finally c3. And after this, after c3, there is e5. Bishop b5. E takes d4, c takes d4. And now you still have a problem. But why you have a problem? Because at this point you are going to oblige white to lose the bishop pair, and black will keep his bishop pair, okay? Black continue with knight d7, that is very, very important, because like I said, now this doesn't mean anything, because he can play this, he can play this, so he needs to decide what he wants to do there, okay? And let's see how he continues. He continues with bishop e3 to protect this, but bishop g7 again. It continues to give pressure on d4. So as you can see, why these miniatures are in any case very instructive, because here it shows you the fight for the center. There is this fight, this ongoing fight, never stopping, right? And of course I can also read you the comments of the author that says, finally the pressure against d4 forces white to exchange on c6. The resulting position is very pleasant for black. He has the two bishop, an open b file for his queen's rook, and the chance to open the diagonal for his dark square bishop by playing later c5. White is not yet worse, but he certainly has to take care. Okay, and white now take care. Bishop takes it, attack. Okay, this is the thing. This position is kind of bad for black because he has an isolated pawn and doubled, but in reality is not bad at all. Why? Because now he has an open file and he has this bishop that goes on this diagonal and gives problem, okay? So sometimes the double pawn or the isolated pawn, especially in opening or middle game, early middle game, is not bad as you can think it is, because what you want to do is to bring out the pieces. And how do you bring out this? So clearly this is good for black in this situation. Knight b d2, castle, so he takes away the possibility of having his king attack in the center. And rook c1, he attacks the pawn c6, which forces black to push. And here, after it takes, black takes back, attacking this, right? He goes here, and black goes back, because at this point he has control of the diagonal. And this is a true thing. At a certain point you may forget that this diagonal is owned by black, and you can make a mistake, especially in more beginner games. Finally, white castle, and at this point we have this rook e8. Black position is very comfortable. He only has to play the most natural moves. Now, I honestly don't understand why Tal didn't play c takes d6. Not because we actually care to attack that pawn, but it will be two isolated pawns, so it's very, very easy, no? Once c takes d6, c takes d6, perfect, you have two targets, and this is real, so I don't know. Got to understand why he played rook d1. Doesn't make any sense. Knight takes e5. Now white has to part with his other bishop. but in compensation he gains some time. Okay, so bishop takes e5, d takes e5, and here there is a mistake by Tal, which is rook takes e5. It seems for the author this was the move to play knight b3. It makes sense, honestly. But maybe it was to attack that. So after rook takes e5, queen d6, rook dc1, and admittedly white now has a pressure against e7, but winning this pawn means little if black's bishop are allowed to develop their full power. Yeah, so at this point in reality we are in a kind of an endgame. It's not a true endgame because the big pieces, queens and rooks, are on the board, but you see how the pawn structure has defined the two armies. White has a majority on the king side that generally can give you a win, and black has two isolated pawns on the queen side. One of them is a pass pawn, but maybe it will not survive the night, like they say. Okay, how does black continue? He plays bishop h6, because this is a pin, this is behind, and this is the problem. Okay, so let's see what happens. How does white continue? White takes on c7. Probably it made more sense to play this, but also with this I don't think you can. No, it doesn't solve nothing. It doesn't solve nothing. This move, because in any case he will take here. You have to take with this. This is going to fall. No. Okay, so the situation is already bad. And after this there is rook a d8. And let's see what happens. Now we finally play rook 1 c2. Now you should try to pause the video and think what you will play at this point, because I think it's really interesting what's going to happen. Black continue with bishop takes d2, queen takes d2, and now there is an amazing move by black. Can you find the amazing move by black? Boom! Queen f4. Amazing move, right? Because you take queen takes f4, rook d1, knight e1, rook takes e1, checkmate. So that's the amazing move that black played. But obviously Tal has a kind of defense for this, right? So what is the defense? Rook e7. Now if you take on d2, you're going to discover that things are not going well, right? So let's see. And now you need to find the black reply. That is good. Here I think the author should have explained a little better on what happens, because he spent time before giving us variation, but this is the tricky part, right? Is the tactical part. Obviously if you play rook takes e7, queen takes e8, it's a mess. If you play queen takes d2, Probably there is rook takes d2, rook takes d2, rook takes e8, check, king g7, boom, and you take back. So that check there is kind of important. So how does black continue? Black continue in this way. Boom, rook f8. Another very tricky reply, right? Now he needs to find a reasonable square for the white queen, and he tries to find it in this move, queen a5. But check. And after this gets the last move of the game. I think this is what you should learn about the back rank, right? So what is the last move played by black in this game? Try to find it. The last move was queen g5. Attack this, attack this. And this is still here. So you can, if you take here, checkmate. If you don't take there, what do? You try to go back, maybe, and you lose the rook, right? So this is the game over. A beautiful game by Olafsson against one of the greatest attackers of all time. I hope you enjoyed the game from this book. Again, I tell you guys, books are really great because give you the chance to think over the board, which is where you will play your own tournament games. Thank you for watching.